السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا بكم في برنامج نيوكاسل مع وليد. معنا اليوم جاك تالبوت المراسل الصحفي. طبعا جميع الأسئلة إن شاء الله التي راح تسألونها إن شاء الله اليوم بخصوص كواليس الانتقالات راح تكون راح يجاوبها إن شاء الله سيد جاك Talbot. Welcome lads and lasses to Newcastle with Walid. We have on board Jacque Talbot. Hello, Jack.
Hello there. Hiya, you're right.
We are happy and honored to have you in our show for first time. Jack, what you can or what you like to share with Saudi and Middle East fan about you?
I suppose I'm more of a fan of Newcastle than a reporter. My job is sort of football transfers. But it's mainly do a lot of Nottingham Forest stuff and Manchester United stuff. But because I'm a Newcastle fan, I do like to sort of look and try and find out as much about what's happening with Newcastle as well. And I like interacting with the Newcastle fans on Twitter, and I get involved with that. But yeah, I suppose I'm a football journalist, basically. Yeah, and I've been doing it for about 2 years, I think. I was in Spain before. I was an investigative reporter before that. And so yeah, it's only been the last sort of couple of years that I've been doing football and stuff, and I love it. I do enjoy it. Yeah.
And Jack, you're doing it, or you're working with many areas like Daily Star and the Mirror, Guardian. Yes. So you are correspondent for all of them, or?
No, I wish. No, I'm a correspondent mainly for football transfers, which is quite a new site. Brilliant. Run by, I don't know if you know the website called Goal, but the Goal, a few people have sort of left Goal and they've made this new site. So I'm primarily with them. I also do shift work at the Daily Star, but I have done stuff before for those newspapers in there. It's cheating a little bit. I'm making myself seem much better than I am. But I have done stuff for them. I'm hoping in the future it'll be more regular. The Times I did something for, that was a Nottingham Forest story in February. The Guardian I haven't done a story for about 5 years, I don't think. But I've done it nonetheless, so it might come back around. Who knows? Yeah,
that's superb. We wish you all the best. Before we going into Newcastle backstage, what you can say about the transfers this summer? I know we're still maybe at the last part before the Premier League start. How did you see the transfer in general? Any surprises?
In terms of Newcastle, what?
Before Newcastle, in general.
In general,
yeah, top 6 and stuff.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned Nottingham Forest before, but they're going wild. I think they've made 12 transfers since being promoted. And I've never seen anything like that. Has there been any shocks? Yeah, I think the Raheem Sterling going to Chelsea, that was a little bit out of the blue. But I suppose the season before we had the Harry Kane saga, because he was going to Manchester City, and that whole thing almost clouded it. Last summer, it was just all about Harry Kane. Is he going to go to Man City? Of course, you've got the De Jong stuff now. I think what's most interesting about this window is how complicated transfers have become. It used to be you make a bid, £3 million, you get Kieran Dyer or whoever, but now it's add-ons, clauses. And I think as the public are becoming more in tune and more knowledgeable about how it works, because more detail gets fleshed out there. So maybe it's always been complicated, but because we know many more things about it, it just seems much more contrived than it has been. So yeah, it is interesting. But with regard to this window, I don't know about the numbers spent. Maybe it's been more than ever. I'm not entirely sure. I should do my research a bit better. Yeah. It's always fun though, isn't it? The transfer window. Yeah.
Remember Rafa a couple of years ago, he said something like the agents control the transfer market. So I believe now the clubs and they know the tactics of the agents, and they maybe now they care about assigning managers like for example Dan Ashworth. He know the agent games. So
yes, it's but agents do what they can to get their client the best deal and the best for their career as well. They're not all money grabbers. Agents aren't all money grabbers. Some can play the game. Some just have nothing to do with it. They don't want to talk to anyone. They're just very, they have a company and they'll go like, no agent talks to anyone. That's just a rule. And I've spoken to people and they're very nice, but they'll never say, they will never talk to a journalist in that terms. Clubs are just as bad as well. Clubs can play loads of games. Clubs can play things out and be very PR heavy. It's all everyone, and even football players as well. Everyone's playing their own little game. I know agents get a bit of a bad rap, but it is football clubs are just as bad as well. So bad, some of them. So yeah, I don't know how much they play the game really. I mean, this window, I think you mentioned Ashworth there. It seems to me with Newcastle, it's kind of a bit of a closed shop at the moment about what's going on. Maybe the last sort of 3 weeks he's been there. It seems a little bit more quieter, perhaps. I don't know how long that's going to last for. But I'm not sure if I prefer it that way. Do you prefer hearing about rumours, or would you rather just Newcastle got their players over the line?
Actually, Jack, I hope an exclusive maybe, or have exclusive from you at least tonight.
Right. It's been very, very quiet on that front. I think I've had a bit of a break from it because to find a story, you have to find a little bit of information. You'll see a bit of information online. You'll be like, oh, that's interesting. And then you have to dig and you have to persist and you have to annoy and you have to find certain numbers. And then even when you get a bit of information from someone, they may not be telling the truth or they may have their own agenda. And so when you get that tiny bit of information, you're going to have to verify it with, and it's just, it takes a lot of, it doesn't take a lot of work. It takes about a day's work. And I've just been very lazy. I think this month I've been very lazy with things and I hope to improve. But in terms of exclusive information in regard to Newcastle, I don't have any. Close it, yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, fine journalist like yourself, they went to Austria camp with Newcastle, and actually, they didn't bring such any much of exclusive. When someone says the team have specialists in doing protein shake, and Ferrari of Saint Maximin barking in a way teasing some of the players. So not much of exclusive, even if they travel with the team. So
yes,
so don't be hard on yourself.
It's I think well, with the reporters close to the Eddie Howe, they probably get told stuff, but then they get told not to say anything yet. Like for instance, there was a club I talked to. Well, I'm not saying that. There have been instances where you get told something like, we're interested. Let's say, for instance, Newcastle, I'm a reporter and I'm talking to a football club. And, a source says to me, Newcastle are after a goalkeeper. But don't report that because they don't want Martin Dubravka to get annoyed and start throwing his toys at the pram. They don't want that out there. So sometimes there's a motive behind not revealing that information. I'm not suggesting that that's the case, but it could be part of the reason. People can be very funny around transfers, I think, because it can affect people within the team and it can affect that morale because obviously, a player reads about, left back's coming in. Paul Dummett starts worrying, oh my God, I'm going to get the sack or whatever, or end up going. So yeah, there's plenty of reasons for it. But I think with Newcastle, I think the next couple of weeks will be very interesting. And I imagine there'll be some movement, I guess, anyway.
Brilliant. Last thing about journalism and reporting. So you are corresponding and reporters get more, maybe because they are in the move, getting more info comparing to journalists, or it's about, or it's just about resources.
Yeah, no, I suppose that there's sort of a number of ways you can sort of label yourself in as a football, whatever. You can say you're a football writer. And I guess maybe last year that would have been true because I did a lot of sort of opinion pieces. So I thought I'm more of a writer. You can say a reporter, but I feel with a reporter, it's almost like you're attached to one area or one publication. You report for them. I'm a reporter for. This is so strange. But then journalists, I don't want to put journalists because journalists are doing proper things like reporting on atrocities and all I'm doing is transfer stories. And I feel to be a journalist, like journalists uncovered the Watergate scandal. So I don't want to put, and also people will mock you if you do transfer stories and say, "Oh, you call yourself a journalist," and this kind of thing. So I feel like correspondent. This seems to hit the right notes, and I've opted for that. But I don't know if that's a wisest choice or not. I don't know.
When things are dry, I mean, like no news or nothing or secrecy, uptight, what you do? How you dig? We don't want you to give us your secrets, but just
I like this.
Just a hint.
Yeah, no. How do you do it? Sometimes it's hard because you've got to. It's all sort of done online now, and I mean, in terms of WhatsApp and stuff, I don't know how they did it 20 years ago. It would have been in like a phone book and like reading through. But I feel I don't want to use the word manipulation because sometimes it's a two-way street. But you've got to build an element of trust with someone you're talking to because they can say something to you and then you can land them in so much bother. So there has to be that trust there. And so I'd introduce myself. I say who I am. I say who I've reported for. And I feel my Twitter profile, having the blue tick probably helps because they can see that. And then obviously the best thing to do is probably not go like, "Oh, by the way, what's happening to you?" And start like loading them with questions. Maybe just over time, you just have general conversations. And then maybe in 3 weeks' time, you can ask, "Oh, what's happening with your client there?" And then maybe they'll give you some information and it just works from there. It depends on the person as well. Sometimes they're just really happy to provide you with whatever you want, any information you ask for. Sometimes they're a closed book and they're just like happy to talk to you, but they just make, it's our company policy not to say anything. It's all dependent, but I suppose the best way to be is just be respectable and to show that you're not going to land them in bother and show a degree of of competency, that you're not going to report something that's wrong, inaccurate. So yeah, but I'm still learning. I mean, transfers is something I've done 7 months now. I haven't done transfers before that, and I made loads of mistakes at the beginning. I got loads of people in trouble. I had loads of people yelling at me. I woke up with an agent going, "Get that off now!" And
Oh yeah, it's very hard. Very hard throwing.
For sure, that's how you learn, though. Basically, yeah.
For example, when I try sometimes to, I look for information. As I'm YouTuber, I can say to myself, YouTuber, not a journalist. Sometimes you have information and suddenly you get it somehow, but you are driven to publish it. So this is killing me sometimes. I want to say it, but I can't because some reasons.
It can be hard to want to tell people things. It's very hard, and especially I have friends who like football, and there's stuff I can't tell them just in case it gets out, kind of thing, because you have to keep your word of it. And in journalism school, they say one of the most important things you can do is protect your sources, and that means not reveal who they are or what they tell you, unless they're happy with it. It's like one of the most important things. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. You just want to shout it from the rooftops, like Mbappe's coming to Newcastle or something like that, but you can't.
Yeah. That's brilliant, Jacque. Jacque, so Newcastle transfer, how about that? What you can see, let's talk about what we signed. So do you think it's enough for us, or do you think we still need to a couple of signing more?
Yeah, we need. It's hard, isn't it? Because it's almost like if we cut the I don't know. I was saying this to someone the other day. I'm trying to remember what I was saying, but essentially, we've got the left back. If it's like a first 11, this window. If you look at it as a first 11, we've got a new goalkeeper. We've got a whole new goalkeeper. We've got a whole new left back, and we've got a whole new centre back there. That's quite a lot. That's 3 first teamers we have now out of the 11. But obviously, unfortunately, it's sort of in them areas which are quite boring. No, I mean, Chris Wood, Callum Wilson's injury prone. We certainly need another striker, maybe even 2-3 attackers. But I do think it's important to remember we are the highest spending club this year. People forget about January. We spent £90 million in January. Maybe it was over £90 million. That has never been done before in the history of football. This season, we have bought a £30 million player in. We've got Matt Target for 15, Nick Pope for 10, I think it was. But you put it all together, we're probably the highest spending club. I think we are. It's at least net. Look at Man City. They've sold Gabriel Jesus and Sterling for I don't know, 80 million. They've probably hardly spent anything. Newcastle, we haven't sold anyone above 10 million, I don't think, in the last sort of 10 years or so. So we're working purely at a gross level. Basically, we do need people, but I'm not panicking, and I definitely don't think the owners haven't been ambitious at all. Like, they certainly have, because you need to take into account January as well.
Regarding some names here, we really want your opinion. Are they close? Are they not happening? Of course, it's just opinion. So feel free. Let's start with Diaby.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's fantastic, isn't he? He did in the Bundesliga 2 seasons ago. He was very much Amanda Traore, brilliant skill, no end product. Last season, he got the end product. One of the best young players in the Bundesliga. I love Newcastle very much, but when you compare us to Bayern Leverkusen at the moment, I think they've got a 60,000 stadium. They're in the Champions League. They could potentially be title contenders. He's 22 years old, and he's had interest from Paris Saint-Germain as well. He's publicly stated he's not going to go, and I think I did hear from someone in Germany it'll be 70 million euros, which is a lot on one player at this point. It's someone we buy, in 2 years' time. I feel I can't see that happening, unfortunately. I'd love Diaby. It'd be amazing. It'd be an absolute coup, but it doesn't seem particularly. 2 out of 10. Okay, in terms of
2 out of 10. Yeah, that's a fine number. Harrison.
Yeah. It's a very and I'm not. Would you reckon to this? Would you be a fan of Harrison coming in?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know if Harrison was exist. Sorry, but I just watched Newcastle, and all what I know about Leeds, it's Phillips and Rafinha. Rafinha take all the lights. So
he'd be very good, Rafinha, but we've missed the boat with him. Jack Harrison, he is a decent Premier League player, and I'd imagine he'd jump in the first team. I'm a bit confused about what position he plays. Some people say he's better on the right, or maybe it's the left. I'm not sure, but he does better on the left, which is where we play as a Maximan or something.
He's a lefty, I think, but maybe because Rafinha on the right, maybe that's why he's.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe he's left, but we were after a right winger, so that's why people were saying they wouldn't really work. I think he got 10 or 9 Premier League goals last season, which is pretty impressive. But I suppose the biggest issue I have with it is we shouldn't be buying players who are surplus to Leeds' requirements. We don't want Leeds' players who they don't seem, they seem as players they can sell. To worsen that is because Leeds have got the TV money from staying up. They've got the money, 40 million from Phillips, and they've got, I think it's 50 million from Rafinha. They are their expenditure this season hasn't even been that high. They have more than enough money to reject, 30 million bid for Harrison, and he's just not worth that. I don't think he's worth that. But in terms of being close or not, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
From 10?
I don't think Harrison is particularly close. I think they'd be put off by the amount he'd cost anyway.
So 2 of 10.
Oh right. In chances of Harrison coming, 5.5 out of 10.
5.5. That's precise. Tielemans.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, Tielemans.
Why I believe, 2 reasons I could say why. We really care for Eriksen, and he went for Man United. And Tielemans, I think he play kind of same position. We need someone number 10, and add to that, Elliot Anderson. We tried to play him this area. He's great, but still we can't depend on him. So definitely, we went. Eddie Howe thinking of this position. I want to, let's make it a comparison between Tielemans and Bakita. So I think one of them close maybe to join Newcastle.
Yeah, out of them two, who'd be more probably Tielemans. I think Tielemans would probably stand a bit more of a chance because he definitely wants to leave Leicester. but I don't know if that's for a Champions League side, or maybe it would be Paqueta on it. But I think he wants Arsenal, but Arsenal haven't bid for him because they're worried about his fitness levels, apparently. But I think Man United are looking at him maybe as if De Jong doesn't come off, get Tielemans in, which seems quite feasible. But there was a noise, I think it was Ben Jacobs, who knows Leicester very well. Ben Jacobs.
Yeah. I was about to tell you that. Yeah.
Oh, you know Ben Jacobs, yeah.
He mentioned it that he.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. But he seems to think that Newcastle were interested, like in Tielemans, and he'd be happy to come. So, who knows, really, with that one? But I'd probably say a 3 out of 10 for Tielemans.
3?
3.5. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
3.5.
Brilliant.
But
Paqueta?
Yeah, he went to Lyon because they had Juninho there. I don't even remember who Juninho was.
Yeah, of course I remember.
Yeah, he was the director of football there at Lyon. But he brought in Paqueta and he brought in, Guimaraes, the Brazilian as well. But then he left, I think, in January. And now, ever since then, Paqueta's sort of been trying to push for a move out. And I think Newcastle were looking at him in January. Like clubs look at loads of players kind of thing. He's an interesting player. What hasn't helped probably is the fact he went to Newcastle and, so he's best friends with Guimaraes, literally best friends. And that was all over social media. He's in Newcastle and Guimaraes is on the Instagram saying, yeah, he's going to come. And I think that's fueled a lot of it. And, but it looks like Arsenal were interested, Tottenham as well. I don't know why his name keeps coming up though. So I'm 5 out of 10 for Paqueta. Why not? We might have just got a load of money actually from yesterday. I'm not sure. So maybe 5 out of 10 for Paqueta. That'd be an amazing signing as well. Another Brazilian as well.
Yeah, and the chemistry between Paqueta and Bruno, I think this will help the midfield.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Timo Werner.
Oh, I'd love to get Timo Werner.
Oh yeah,
amazing. I heard today that he wants to leave Chelsea.
Okay.
He doesn't like being there. He wants to leave. Juventus, I think, are talking to him. I think Allegri's after someone who can play up front and then on the left, I think. So he does tick the bill. So I imagine he would go. The Newcastle's name was put out in a German publication called, was it Kicker? It might have been Kicker who put it out, or was it Sport? I think it was Kicker.
The Bild. Oh, it
was Bild. Well done. Yeah, it was Bild. Sorry, yeah, it was Bild who said that Newcastle were looking at him. Which sounds reasonable. I mean, that might have been his agent putting it out there to, for a bit of competition to get some competitive wages from Juventus. But, Premier League proven, I'm not sure how much Chelsea would ask for. He can play a multitude of positions. He presses like I've never seen anyone press before. That is Eddie Howe 101. He presses. He's not clinical. But some players just become, they just move to a club and they can't finish for whatever reason. They go to another club and they're absolute rock stars. And I just feel I'd be delighted if Timo Werner joined. Really delighted. And he's still quite young. He's a German international. Put a £35 million bid in for him. Give him 180 a week. 5.5 out of 10. Give him a 6. Give him a 6 out of 10.
So if you are a teacher, student will not like you because all the marker are low. Yeah. Okay, so 5.5 for Werner. So okay, that's any players I didn't mention. You think closer than 5.5?
I know I'm being really. I mean, the Harrison one, Brozier, Armando Brozier, who's at Chelsea, is interesting. He wants game time and a permanent move away because he basically wants somewhere to settle and start scoring goals. And but Chelsea want to keep him on loan. West Ham put a bid in for Brozier, 30 million. I don't know if it was accepted or not. then he got on a plane back from the United States from when they were on tour, but then the move just didn't materialise for whatever reason. So he's still available. I'm not sure what's happening with Newcastle's finances at the moment. But
that's another subject I want to ask about the loan.
Yes,
the loan
would make sense. The banking loan, yeah. Also, that's a dog. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hello there. But yeah, Brozier, 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's
I thought Brozier would be a very good one.
Yeah, he will be a really great signing, and for me, I think the bank loan. Can you explain why the loan happened now? Is it some kind of tactics? Is it to show the teams that we are not have much cash flow, or maybe is it some of buying time? I know this maybe it's a financial question, but I just want your take on that.
I'll try. I think on the face of it, it looks like they're getting 100 million this time next year. They don't have that much now. And so they've gone to HSBC and said, can we have 100 million? We're going to pay you some interest in that. So we can have the 100 million now to spend, and then you'll get it back when we inevitably, because we're in the Premier League, get our TV money in 2023. Which sounds short-sighted, but they've got the Fun 88 sponsorship, which doesn't bring in a lot of money for them. So by the time 23 rolls around and they have to pay that money back to HSBC, that sponsorship will have finished, and they'll be able to get a new sponsorship, Saudi sponsorship, which will give them much more money. So basically, they won't be missing out. I think it's so they can spend more money now. But I don't know. That's just what it looks like. It could just be a standard thing that everyone does. No one's really come out. Oh, well, I think Kevin Maguire put there, but they've made this loan of HSBC, or it could have just been trading banks. I'm not sure, but that's what it looks like to me. And I'm really hoping that's the case. So we spend loads, obviously, but I'm just speculating anyway. I'm not. 100%.
No, actually, this is totally makes sense, and it's more money, and it's now, and so this is will help in the cash flow. So this is totally makes sense to me. So that means we can have good feel that still we will gonna have signing. But do you think this is gonna be before August 6th or after?
I would imagine that it'll be before. Crikey, it's not a long way, is it? I'd imagine it'll be before. If this loan thing is what we think it is, and it's going to speed up a lot of things, I'd imagine. They want targets in as soon as possible, but every manager says that. And I think Eddie Howe said it, but every manager says they want their targets as soon as possible, especially before the season starts. I think this is the earliest a season's ever started, actually, as well, because of the World Cup. So it's a bit of a race against time. So you have to find the balance of getting the right player in, getting them in, before you play your first game, and not getting done with the cost and stuff. So I like to think, there's going to be some movement within the next week. Otherwise, it will be really pushing it.
How much is the loan? Do you have idea? The loan, how much?
No, I mean, it said there about the TV rights and stuff. So I'd imagine it'd be around 100 million. But I don't know. Again, it's just sort of because that red circle.
So that's two superb signings.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. I think we've got 50 left over. So we have 150 million to spend now, which would be pretty handy.
Maybe three.
With that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Okay. So we have this question here, fans in Saudi Arabia wondering, Mr. Darren Elias, what exactly he's going to do with the club?
Christ, I did see that the other day. He came in from Atalanta. I keep saying Atalanta, but it's Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean Atlanta. Yeah, I think
Atlanta. Yeah. He. I don't know, but I've never seen a club headhunt like this. To be honest, I didn't know who Dan Ashworth is, but until I read about him and what he does, I'm like, crikey! Like these men behind the scenes who Newcastle are headhunting speaks to me of a club of ambition. I can't claim to know what this new character is going to be like or what he can offer. But I, since supporting the club, we have under Mike Ashley, they'd hire Dennis Wise and people and friends of people people who can come on the payroll and just do a silly job and not put much thought into it. But now it seems we're actually trying to get the best of the best of these people, executives and stuff. The future is so bright for Newcastle. Oh, so there's a question there.
Yeah, we'll go to the question. So Newcastle working on team on the field and team behind inside the club and the management team.
So important to have that ethos, and you look at Man United; they're all over the place with their back
and
staff.
And Mr. Darren, he's a striker too, so maybe.
Yes, that'd be handy.
Okay, let's get some of fans a question. Mit'ab Khalid says, "Hi Jack, what do you think about the risk of opting for Byrne and Botman as centre backs?
Yeah.
And what's your favorite formation other than 4-3-3? Thanks."
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think Botman got not stick, but people saw his shortcomings when Newcastle played a high line, and he got done for pace, I think, in pre-season. I can't remember who we played last. But yeah, because I'd say, in an ideal world, you would have Byrne and Botman, but they're both left-footed. So you'd want Shah there. I think he'll probably go Shah and Botman and then have Dan Byrne as coming in as well. If it was me...
But Jack, I saw a lot do right-footed, and they play together, centre back. So what's wrong with the two lefty?
Well, it's very possible that it works out, but I thought the left side, because then you've got that stronger foot, and then they've got that stronger foot. But I'm not much of a footballing man. But I like to see Byrne was actually one of the best centre backs in the Premier League last season, like for the second half of the season. Botman's a bit of an unknown entity, but you'd imagine he'll be starting if we paid that much money for him. But then Shah is the only naturally right-footed one, and he's a good ball carrier. I mean, interchanging between the three wouldn't have to be fixed, would it? I think Howe does like to rotate a little bit. But if it was me, Byrne and Botman probably. I would go for it. Would be the answer to the question. Yeah.
Your favorite formation other than 4-3-3?
Well, it is the 4-3-3 is my favorite formation, I have to say. But if I had to go for something else, then probably the sort of Bundesliga formation where they have three centre backs, then they have the wing back, like literal, not like Steve Bruce wing backs, like actual wing backs, and then they'll have the three in the middle, and then the two up there. So 3-5-2 is the answer to that. They're really attacking, 3-5-2. Love it.
Abdullah asking, Premier League can bring a player from Russian league? From Russian league. Can Premier League have a player from Russian league?
Oh, I see. The answer to that is I don't know. I'm really not sure. I don't know.
Even if he's not Russian, maybe he's talking about Malcolm, Brazilian player.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, no, I don't think that's an issue, but it depends how intertwined them clubs are with the state, that they might put sanction on people leaving and stuff. I think if they're non-national, it's not an issue, because we had Daniel Falk, who I think it was him, who's now the Gladbach manager, but he was managing in Russia when the war took place, and he just left. I think it was Spartak Moscow, and he just left. But I don't know if it's the same with players and stuff. But Malcolm, is he in Russia? Is he? I wondered where he went. Yeah.
No, someone mentioned in the chat he's already recontract, but this is like as a general. My friend Badr, he said here, Assalamu alaikum, good evening, Walid and Jack.
Hello.
Can you ask Jack, is the pressure from the fans and media making Eddie Howe a bit of maybe feel like kind of awkward or maybe shy? This is what he's asking.
No, I mean, he's always been a bit reserved in character. He's never been a very flamboyant, expressive individual. He's always quite low key, but
I mean, he can. Sorry, to just good translation. He can handle the pressure. I think this is the thing.
Oh, I see.
From the fans and media.
No, I mean, you can't get much more pressure than what he got last season. That was the biggest test, and he absolutely shone. If they got that wrong, he probably would have been. It depends on the circumstances, but if Newcastle kept losing their games under him, he would have been sacked. Like, if they kept losing if the Leeds game we'd lost, and and he kept that going, and he's done tremendously well. I think he thrives in a little bit of pressure. There's always a good amount of pressure to have. Too much and you can explode, but he seems to thrive on it, and he's made of strong stuff, it seems. So I think he's a very level-headed, strong-handed, willed individual. I haven't seen anything in him to sort of make me think, he's crumbling a little bit. Or similar, with previous managers, you can tell they're crumbling because they start snapping and this kind of thing. But nothing I've seen in Eddie Howe to suggest that at the moment, anyway.
He's asking too about Renato Sanchez. Can we get him, and why Newcastle can't or didn't go for Renato Sanchez? We get Putman from Milan, so maybe Renato Sanchez as well.
Yeah, from Lille. Yeah, Renato Sanchez. He will probably go because Luis Campos has gone to PSG now, and what he's doing there is not really buying the massive names like they used to. Like they're not buying Pogba anymore, which is a sign that he's buying the young talent. And he will probably bring in Renato Sanchez. I don't know. There's a lot to look at when you have a player. Are they going to fit the style? Are they going to fit the league? Because Sanchez, he played at Swansea a bit, didn't do too well there. He comes quite cheap, but maybe they have looked at him, but I think he's going to go to PSG, unfortunately. I think it's between AC Milan and PSG because I think they want him because Kesey's gone. So one of them two. But I'm sure the players they've looked at, but, if the player's not interested and they're told that.
I think Eddie Howe likes the tall players. So Renato, he's not tall. So.
He's not very tall, no. He's 5'9".
So I can't imagine you have long or tall defenders. So I don't think we're gonna midfielder or defense midfielder who's short. Mit'ab asking how will Newcastle deal with Shelby injury, and how effective is it on the first few games?
Yeah, the central midfield is I've got the Longstaff, but I think that we've got Sean Longstaff who's still there. So I imagine he'd come in, but there hasn't been really that in terms of transfers. There hasn't really been that much attention on central midfield. I had heard something about, they're looking for maybe a very, very young central midfielder to sort of come in and sort of compete with Longstaff, or because, I'd say Bruno and Joe Linton are starters now. Then it's sort of someone who can pass like Shelby or however they want to play or press a bit better. Shelby's quite an underrated player, I feel. He seems to gel with the team. He makes mistakes. He can look quite slothful. But there's a reason that every single manager in the past 4 years he's been here has mostly started him where possible, because there is something there that probably doesn't seem that obvious to us, but maybe to coaches and stuff, like he can provide. So it'll be a big miss. Let's just with the HSBC loan, maybe we'll get a £50 million central midfielder to sort of fill in. Who knows? But I certainly would be looking to get a central midfielder in. I don't know how long he's injured for, though. Is it just the first few games he's out for? It's so quite crucial to get on to a good start, because Newcastle traditionally, over the past 5 years or so, just haven't got to the best of starts in the season at all. They seem to crumble. But hopefully that won't be the case now, obviously.
عبد الله معلش انا ما جاوبت سؤالك، بس ترجمت السؤال انه يقول لك عادي اي لاعب من الدوري الروسي نقدر نجيب، يجي الدوري الانجليزي ما في اي اشكاليه. Okay, so here Abdul Basit, my friend, also asked me to ask you, Jacque, about this being sent over Twitter, all over Twitter, about the new stadium or the expanding. So any more info on you with this, Jacque?
I think that's that was made by like a fan account who's sort of knocked it up for sort of for purposes just to sort of play around with. But yeah, I think the owners did an interview in February with The Athletic about they would never look to make a new St James's Park. I think they said that it would they don't want to take the soul out of the stadium, which they sort of see how important that stadium is. And I think it is iconic, and it is the fact it's in the middle of a city. You don't get many that do that other than maybe Cardiff, and that's about it really. I can't think of many others that have the stadium dead in the city centre. And they did say he'd look to expand it. I think he sort of said 65,000 or something like that. But they've barely been there a year. I'm sure they've already done the sort of spring cleaning of the stadium. They've sort of refurbished the stadium already, just to give it a bit of pride, because it was falling apart. I don't know what state it was in before. And in terms of like a training complex, like I live in Manchester, so we have the Etihad campus, which is sort of sports city, so it has everything there really. It's sort of half of the Man City, half of the community. They have their academy stadium there, which fits around 10,000 people, like really plush. And I imagine that's what they'll do eventually. But I think the focus right now is just sort of getting things stable, getting things in order, because Ashworth's only been there a couple of months. Eddie Howe's been there less than a year. They've only been there less than a year. Everything's at a preliminary stage. One for the future, maybe in a couple of years, we'll see something manifest like that. But I do think they'll do a complex or something, like more of a like Leicester City training complex. But the actual stadium, I hope, will stay, and I think it will.
Yeah, so was asking, this photo is just by a fan, not someone like company did it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it did the rounds. That's just a fan-made photo someone did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I receive a lot of questions regarding what's that about. They confuse because they're taking any info from Twitter, regardless of the source. So anything they saw it in English, they believe it's true. So,
yeah, that's the nature of Twitter, isn't it? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is new for a Saudi fan who support Newcastle, and as well, this question I got asked. They said ask Jacque about it, about the boycott or some problem with the drivers of the trains. So this has happened usually in UK, and this is general for whole UK. And this has happened quite often?
Yeah, so with this is part of sort of a political thing, really. A lot of state workers, because we pay these
taxes,
work in the metro and stuff, and at the moment in England it's very hard. The cost of living, oil, diesel, everything is so expensive, and the money that they're working for is so little that they feel they need to protest and say it's not acceptable. We need change. There needs to be intervention. Our gas prices and lights prices have, I think, tripled, and it's very, very hard at the moment. And there's going to be some kickback, and it's part of the reason why we're having these industrial strikes of the railways, and and these are sort of people who are, struggling really, and that's what the only thing they can do is just cause not disruption, but that's their way of protest is to do these things, and it's perfectly understandable. And it's a bit of a nasty period, I suppose, in England in terms of prices and stuff. It's a little bit, but hopefully it will pass. Maybe under a new government or something, it will be a bit better.
Closest player to Newcastle, in your opinion? Closest signing.
Sorry,
next signing for Newcastle. Who do you think it's going to be?
Oh, next signing. I mean, it's been so dead at the moment, really, hasn't it? I mean, as I said, there's sort of Brozier looks quite interesting, but then these names come out of the woodwork. I honestly couldn't say. I'd say Brozier on the basis that I've heard his name more often than not, and he makes the most sense. But there are so many more. I think Alexander Isaac could be an interesting one as well to look at. Who else is it? Harvey Barnes was one, but I don't know what if Leicester are interested in selling him. There's loads of things going on, I suppose. But I mean, it could just be an academy graduate we signed, so that would technically be our next signing. But I'd say Brozier, but with no confidence at all. Yeah, Armando Brozier of Chelsea would be the next signing.
And with the squad we have now, where this Newcastle team going in the standing table next season? Before any more signing.
Yeah, no, we in January, from January onwards, we are the 6th best Premier League team on form. The 6th best. Part of that is the excellent tactics and coaching and philosophy of Eddie Howe. But part of that, I feel, is a bit of a desperation. And desperation is the wrong word. When you're in a relegation battle, you need to learn to win. And when you start winning, you can go on a roll. Maybe I'm being unfair. But obviously, I don't think we have the standard side. We're not a top 6 side. I don't think that'd be the case. I imagine would be, if we had the same squad now, 12th again. Probably 12th again.
Oh no.
No, that's not hard. Maybe that's a bit too harsh. I just think of the striker.
Yeah, but you know, this makes sense because the good signing of the other teams.
Yes, they've strengthened too. I just feel the issue I have is Chris Wood and Wilson. And when Wilson goes, the form I saw of Chris Wood, he'll probably get 4 goals or something, and that's my concern. I think we'll play well every game. I don't think I'll watch Newcastle and think, oh, we didn't give it a go. And that's so important as well. Like, not just the results, they do of course matter, but the performances as well. And like, you know, when we're playing Man City and being like, wow, we really gave it a fight. And even if we got battered sort of, I know it sounds ridiculous, got battered 5-2 or something, you can watch that and be like, well, at least we gave it a go. And I think we won't get that anywhere else. Under a new manager. But yeah, at the moment, I feel it should about 12. A few more players and we'll go to 8th, I think.
Brilliant. And hopefully a little bit, not 8th, 7th, to go to some of European League. This is a great photo, Jack. Where is this taken?
Yes, that is in the center of Barcelona. It's the center of Barcelona on top of a bench near a wall in a park in Barcelona, and it's a very famous park. It's named after an artist, a famous Barcelona artist. I can't remember his name, and it was very hot. And I was living in Spain at the time. I travelled to meet my auntie and my cousins. They flew from Australia.
I thought you're going to bring De Jong to Newcastle or something.
Yeah. But there's a lovely day. We saw the church there and stuff. I can't remember the name of that either. I'm really bad with names, unfortunately. But that was taken 2019. Yeah, 2019. I thought that was taken. I need to travel more again. I do love it, but yeah, Manchester's good, but I think I need to explore the world a bit more, especially as I work from home. But yeah.
That was a great input from you, Jack. We'd like to thank you at the end of our show. Thank you for answering this question. We really appreciate coming to our show.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
طبعا كان معنا جاك تالبوت المراسل الإنجليزي من ديلي ستار. جاوبنا طبعا بعض الأسئلة، وراح إن شاء الله راح نترجم بعض المقاطع والأشياء المهمة اللي قالها جاك على بعض التغريدات في تويتر. شكرا لكم للمتابعة وتصبحون على خير.